Welcome, everybody, to the Becoming a Pharmacy Badass podcast. I am Heather Haro, your host for the day. And today we are talking with Dr. Fred. Now, Dr. Fred, give me your last name because I always butcher it and I don't want to do it for the people today.
No worries. It's Chaleff.
Chaleff.
Chaleff,
Okay.
yes.
So for as long as I've known Dr. Chaleff, I cheat and call him Dr. Fred. I don't know if that is appropriate.
No, that's perfect because that's what my patients do. It's easier.
Yes. So Dr. Fred Chaleff is really, we've been friends for quite a while in the pharmacy
Oh,
space.
yeah.
I met him at tons of conferences. And he is the director, founder, owner of Scimera MD. So welcome, Dr. Fred. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Heather. It's a pleasure to see you again. And yes, I've seen you at many shows over many, many years, and you're always so pleasant and great to talk to.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here, and just looking forward to talk about the products. And there's such a vast array of products. And just to mention that, yes, we've been around 15 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And it's truly evolved. And over the 15 years, I listened to a lot of my patients, and I listened a lot to the pharmacist. But I want to tell you what makes us unique. I want to tell you about the company a little bit.
Okay, please.
So what first happened, a lot of people don't realize this, is that my patients would come to me. Many times they would say, what do you recommend for this? Or what do you think about that? And I go, oh my God, you can't take that. There's nothing there to help you. I mean, it's advertising, it's marketing. I says, but there's no data here. There's nothing. So this kept going on. And then finally we decided, okay, there's a couple of products I want to do that I know it'll really help my patients. As a cardiologist, interventional cardiologist, and they asked me for something natural, I want to see, okay, where's the data for efficacy? I would do the research, go through the literature, and yes, there was a few things that truly showed efficacy. So we developed, one of the first products was the Cardiovascular MD for cholesterol support. Okay. Then one of the initial products was Scimune for the immune system, which we'll go over, has great data. The probiotic, which has been incredible, which is now expanding. We'll get into that also.
Okay.
And the other thing was for arthritis, Zoflexa. Mm-hmm. All of these had tremendous data that we were able to relate to, put into a formulation, and of course, come to market. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't do it unless it was clinically researched. And that's how it evolved. And by the way, the one thing we did do is we looked at the data, we looked at the amounts of what we needed to put, and we stuck to those amounts. We didn't say, oh, we'll put a little bit of this in because that's kind of works. No. If the data said 250 milligrams, that's what we did. At 500 milligrams, that's what we did. And then we worked from there. And we looked at the dosages. If you were to take all these products together, is there an interaction? So there was a lot of thought that went to every one of these. And then, yes, we grew. We started with one independent pharmacy, Heather. One. And I had to beg him to please do it. And actually, he did great with it. And then we expanded to eventually around the whole country.
I love that. I love that story too. We've talked many times about your very first pharmacy who fought you tooth and nail, and then it became one of his best sellers.
Yeah, exactly. He says, but no one ever heard of this. I don't want to do that. I go, I know, but I got to start somewhere. Please do this.
Yes.
And then after a while, patients would take it. And the best thing is word of mouth.
Yep.
And they tell their friends, and they were coming in. And of course, it was just a little local area because it was just that one little pharmacy. But one thing led to another. And then, it just wasn't great. So,
well, and one thing we can remind our pharmacy friends is that people listen to them. Yeah. They will take their recommendations and they will do it. Right. Even in this day and age where TikTok misinformation is wild, you are the authority. So use your authority.
And the thing is this, and the reason why we liked independent pharmacies is because the patients come in, they ask the pharmacist. You go into one of the big boxes, they're so far away, they're like on another zip code. Okay, you
Right.
can't even ask them a question, and they
Right, right,
really
right.
don't care what you buy in the front end. And now, the way things have evolved, it's the front end that makes you the money these days.
No, that's right.
And
You
yeah,
have to have a front end strategy or you're dying or dead
yeah,
already.
yeah. And the pharmacist, his reputation is on the line too.
Yeah,
So he wants to recommend the product that he thinks it's really going to work, not
that's
because
right.
of the advertising.
That's
And
right.
that's how we got so many independent pharmacies feeling so comfortable about our products.
That's fantastic. Now, there's one thing that people always say that everybody should take is a multivitamin. But the the good multivitamins definitely aren't outweighing the bad multivitamins that you can buy on any street corner, or not any street corner, I shouldn't say that, but in any Walmart or any CVS or anywhere. Um,
Right.
so tell me about your specific multivitamin.
Okay. So just to put, I'm going to throw a few things in here, and I think a lot of the pharmacists, the independent pharmacists, can relate to this.
Sure, sure.
Kind of take multivitamins a little bit for granted, and a lot of times they'll have the Centrums, let's say, up there,
Right.
and it's $9 for 120 pills. And after all said and done, they maybe make a couple of bucks. All right. But Centrum is not good. As a matter of fact, at one time there was a warning on the label because
Oh.
they used synthetic vitamin A,
Mm.
which facilitates or promotes or can cause osteoporosis in males and females. You can find this
Wow.
even on the internet. But
Wow. Okay.
so when we designed our multivitamin, yes, it's gluten-free, non-GMO, vegetarian, organic components, all that, which everyone loves clean. But
Right.
every one of the components we put an emphasis on. I'll tell you, for example, the B12 is methylated for those
Mm.
people who cannot absorb the B12s properly. We don't like the cyanocobalamin, we like the methylcobalamin.
Mm.
The
Okay.
minerals are chelated so you get maximal absorption in the gut.
Oh.
The vitamin E is natural, but it's only the D form, not the D and L. The L form, for example, is not even absorbed in the body or utilized. So things like that. We put things in here to make it very comprehensive. Turmeric, CoQ10, zeaxanthin, astaxanthin, very potent antioxidants, phosphatidylserine for your brain. It's one of the few supplement or components that's been shown to help memory in Alzheimer patients.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
in the vitamin because we don't, it's found a lot in meat and people don't eat a lot of meat. So we added that. Even the
Oh.
minimum amount of CoQ10 we put in there. So, and for example, the antioxidants from fruits and vegetables, 29 of them, the superfoods we added in there because those are very rich in the antioxidants. A tremendous amount of biotin for hair, skin, and nails. The leucopene, lycopene, and again, the zeaxanthin for your eye health. Okay, alpha lipoic acid for neuropathy that you see frequently in diabetics.
Oh.
So it's so comprehensive that you really don't need anything else. And if you look at the quantities of everything, and all this is very cheap, by the way, I think it's maybe $29.
Right.
It's one POBID with food. And I'll tell you, people love it so much because they get the energy and they feel just good overall. And the profit is, you'd probably have to sell 10 or 8, whatever, Centrums to make the same thing as one of these. Not
Well,
to mention, you're helping the patient.
and this you're helping the patient because now they're not taking as many supplements. So
Absolutely.
I'll tell you a little secret, Dr. Fred. I am the guinea pig around here. If I try all of the stuff all of the time,
Right.
and then about every 8 months or so, 6 months or so, I fall into a lull where I don't want to take one more pill because I have added all of these and I'm
Yeah.
taking so many a day.
Yeah.
I can't handle it.
And it's not necessary.
No, so
It,
this
it,
sounds like it just checks a ton
it
of
checks
boxes
all the boxes. It
that I need.
really does. I mean, how
That's
many vitamins?
fantastic.
Yeah, have CoQ10 in there. How many vitamins have
Right?
turmeric with the superfood antioxidants? How many have phosphatidylserine? How many have, the methylated cobalamin, the chelated amino acids, eye health, skin, I mean, energy. So, no, this is a super balanced comprehensive, and you don't need a ton of vitamin D, which you need. I mean, everything that's in there, you can really get rid of all the other stuff. So
It's fantastic.
yeah. So that's one of our great sellers. And to be honest with you, that one is super popular, believe it or not, with diabetics
Oh,
because of the alpha lipoic acid that's in there.
okay.
Yeah. And that was one of the key things. For any of the neuropathies, it's really
Right.
good.
Yeah,
I think I have a box here. Let me see. Yeah. Let me just look at this because everybody keeps asking me. Yes, the green tea extracts for the
Mm.
polyphenols, the glutathione that people love, the chromium that's very good for the diabetics also. Yes, the magnesium, the selenium, the B6, the B12. And there's so much stuff in here that you don't need to go through have like a whole 20 different multivitamins to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I am ordering some. Another one
Oh,
on
you're gonna
my
love it.
another, and I will report back. I love to
Good,
report
good.
back. I love reporting back. But another one on my top to-do list or to try list is your Focus MD. The brain health.
Yeah.
Um I think by now everybody knows I have a traumatic brain injury. And so everything for the brain, I am eating for my brain. I am exercising for my brain. I take supplements for my brain. I am a brain first health kind of girl.
Yes.
And this looks fantastic.
Yeah. This is great. You know, we used to sell a variation of this, very similar. We kind of changed it a little bit because of the capsule, but to the professional athletes.
Mm.
And they were taking Major League Baseball and some of the other professional sports. Um, and then what we realized is that, okay, we kind of did it special for them, but there's more than just the athletes out there. So we added to it, and then we went to everyone, made it available, of course, to everyone. So the Focus MD is derived from the coffee berry fruit. It has natural caffeine. So if you look at the coffee berry fruit, you've got the seed, and then you have the pulp, and then the skin.
Mm.
Well, there's so much benefit from the pulp and the skin, the polyphenols that's in there, that when you just have the caffeine, you're missing all those other benefits. Now, this has been clinically studied.
Mm.
This has been shown to increase what we call BDNF, the brain derived neurotrophic factor. There are
Okay.
pathways in the brain. There work two major pathways that occur to help the transmission of signals and thinking and cognitive function. One is everybody knows who the neurotransmitter, the dopamine, the serotonins, GABA, all those things. And the other one is BDNF. That's a second pathway that has been shown to increase your ability to focus and concentrate by 143% based on studies that actually came out of Japan. And
Wow.
that's why we chose the natural coffee berry fruit. And yes, it's got great benefit. I give it to my patients all the time, especially those with like the can't concentrate, the early
Yes.
Alzheimer's kind of patients too.
Yes.
Um,
Well, I mean, like nobody can't tell, but my ADHD sometimes goes
oh yeah,
past a superpower into wreaking havoc.
oh yeah. So let me tell you, Heather, I have patients, and the college students love it. And I have patients that were on Adderall.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 30 plus years old now,
Right.
and they weaned themselves off of Adderall and take Focus every day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
See, I
and
can't
that's
wait. I'm ordering that
yeah,
today.
yeah. And,
I am.
and think how many people come into the pharmacy and ask, "What do you have for it?" I mean, it's not like the junk that they have out there,
Yes.
It doesn't do anything. I can tell you that there's no protein jelly. And even that protein stuff that they say from the jellyfish gets in your stomach, it's all denatured by the hydrochloric acid. There's no real data other than their own studies. We never recommend that. So
Okay.
if you want to see true change in cognitive function and energy levels, it's the Focus. And there's a lot of other precursors in there that facilitate the pathway, the tyrosines and multiple other things in there that also help the other neurotransmitters. So you will see. Now, some people will say, well, what happens to your heart rate and blood pressure? Well, the clinical studies show that the heart rate and blood pressure, there's no more than, or probably less than an 8% increase. So we've never had an issue with hemodynamics with the focus. We've given it to high school kids, we've given it to college, we've given it to adults, we've given it to the elderly, and technically pilots. I've had pilots take it when they
Oh,
fly. Oh yeah.
that's fantastic.
Oh yeah. And moms all the time, and school teachers,
Right.
because they're so busy doing everything and grading papers, they get tired, they love it. So this is a great product for energy and focus.
Now, one thing I want to point out about you and your entire team, Miss Jackie, the entire team, you guys are so accessible. So the way that you're describing and telling me about these products now is the way that you'll train or help educate the
Oh yeah.
independent pharmacies and their teams
Yeah.
so that they sound as fantastic and as knowledgeable as you do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and the thing is, then, very unique thing about us, and it's time intensive, but it's important. When a pharmacy takes on the line, we do the conferences. We
Mm,
educate, of course, the pharmacist, who's educated already, but they have to
right,
understand the products
right,
to a higher level, and all the pharmacy staff. So we do it before, after hours. We do it 1 or 2 times if necessary. Get them to understand the products, the benefits, and know how to answer questions when the customers come in. And
right.
that's a main difference between us and a lot of other companies, is that educational component that we provide automatically.
Right. I absolutely love that. And it not that it's selling the products, but it's selling the products. If you don't know, if you have this great multivitamin here and you don't know that it can replace several of the vitamins that your customers are already taking, um,
Right.
you're missing out on great ways to overcome objectives, to be able to really set your patients on the right path.
Yeah, and you simplify their life. They save money, which they're happy
Right,
about, and they get a benefit for the whole process. And they
right,
take the right product for the right reason,
right.
not just what their friend said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like I will reiterate this again. The whole team at Scimera is very accessible. And you're talking to these folks. You're talking to the founder, the person who formulated. You are talking to the end all be all and his incredible staff who've been with him for all of these 15
Oh yeah.
years. So
Yes.
you're not calling a support line. You're not getting generic answers. When
No.
you need help, they offer real, true, valuable help.
And we have real time. We can help you in real time. I'll give you an example. There's one of the products that patients wanted to take, and they were taking Coumadin. And they
Mm,
wanted to know, hey, is there an interaction with the Coumadin? Because they wanted to buy the product. Well, but
right.
we were able to answer that question immediately while the patient was there. And we answered the question, yes, it was safe. There's no interaction. And that was fine. Now, the pharmacist felt good, the patient felt good, and yes, there was an overall benefit to everybody.
I love that, and that's so important. It's so important that our pharmacies, when having new lines, feel supported so that they can actually
Yeah.
use the strategy to their benefit.
And patients, customers, they like to come in and see new things.
Yeah.
They really do, because the world is being innovated as we speak every minute and all that stuff, and they want to see new products. Hey, I've been taking this for 5 years, but maybe there's something else that's better.
Right.
And pharmacists need to keep up like this.
Yeah.
New products, new ideas, more revenue, of course,
Right.
and everybody's happy at the end of the day, especially the patient. So
I
that's key.
I could not agree with you more. Now, in terms of getting started, so Dr. Fred, you've sold me. I want to start out with your line in my pharmacy. Is there minimum orders? What's that minimum order? How do we get started?
Okay, so we take a very tailored approach because every pharmacy is a little bit different
Okay.
and the demographics are different. Some people may tend more toward the cold and flu kind of thing. Some maybe more towards the probiotic. And we'll talk about the Aspriga and the GLPs, let's say, for example. They may have
Sure.
that kind of population. So we really listen to the pharmacist and see what his needs are. and then we work from there. No, we tried the minimum orders. We're very, we don't like say, no, you have to order X amount of dollars in order to do this. We try not to do that, because sometimes we want you to get started to see how good it is and let you move into it. So, I mean, I wouldn't buy one bottle, but you know what I mean? Because things like that. But no, we try to be very flexible about that.
Okay. I love that, because that's what pharmacies need. I can't tell you how I preach this every single day. No two pharmacies are the same. Not even if there are two pharmacies sitting side by side on the same road with the same owners. They are different beasts.
Yes. And that's why before we do orders, whatever, we kind of try to talk to the pharmacist and say, hey, what do you need? We talk to the customers and all that. And we have one pharmacy that's order 6 of the Espriga, and in a week or two, it was ordering a dozen. Because they loved it. So the thing is we try to do a more focused, tailored approach instead of a generic. Okay, buy this package, which we feel, hey, every pharmacy is different. Now, I do want to go into the Espriga a little bit since I brought it up. Yeah,
please.
So that was probably one of our best products, one of our most popular products.
Okay.
It is very, very comprehensive, and it's nothing like they've seen out there. Yes, it's freeze dried, it's shelf stable, it's one capsule, delayed released, and non-GMO, gluten free. But the thing is, the way we designed it is that it has aerobic and anaerobic strains plus Saccharomyces. You have to excuse that, I'm on call today.
No worries at all.
Anyway, so when we combined all those strains, 17 aerobic and anaerobic, plus the Saccharomyces, we were able to get very close to the microbiome in your gut. For example, there's about 1,000 plus strains, but 30 to 40 are the most common strains. So of those 30 to 40 most common, we found those 17 to 18 that were the most common of the most common. And that's what we used. But when we did it, based on the data, each genus of each strain had a certain amount that showed efficacy. Well, so each strain has a different amount of CFUs or milligrams, not just some generic number, because the studies show you need 10 billion CFUs for this strain. You need 5 billion for this strain in order to get efficacy. That's what we did. So it's not just a big mixture. And we found the Saccharomyces was extremely important, especially for antibiotic-associated diarrhea and C. diff.
Wow.
And so we have hospitals that use this probiotic in the intensive care unit for patients.
Wow, that's incredible.
In fact,
that is incredible.
Yeah, we even had shipped it, FedEx or whatever, to hospitals in Alaska.
Wow.
That's how far it went out. Now, just so you know how comprehensive it is, each one of the genus and the species has a really good, what we call a specialized function. And they do in your gut as well. But of course, we added it to focus on the functionality of the Espriga. For example, there are strains that help with oral cavity and in your oral cavity for cavities. There are strains in there that we know clinically proven for feminine health and urinary tract infections. There are strains in there that we know boost the immune system, the interleukins, the T regulator cells, and the T suppressor cells. There are strains in there that we know focus on mental health by increasing what we call GABA and other neurotransmitters that are produced in the gut. There are strains in there that help facilitate and maintain what we call the microfilm in your gut, so you don't get this leaky gut and get all these pro-inflammatory components that get into your gut. So there's a lot. There's strains in there that help facilitate, believe it or not, muscle health.
Oh.
Yes, because it helps facilitate what we call myokines in your muscle, which is a natural anti-inflammatory through interleukins, through the T cells.
That is incredible. Also, I can't stop thinking about how you're following the recipe of the studies that worked.
Yes.
Not not piggybacking off of studies with just the words. You're actually
Correct.
using the right recipes to keep the efficacy.
Yes.
That,
And
as a layman, I would have never even thought of that as being a thing. But good
yes,
golly,
because all you do, what happens is you pick up somebody's probiotic. Oh, they got this, and this strain. Yeah, that
right?
may be true, but do they have the proper amount of CFUs of that strain to meet the function of what it needs to do? And a lot of
Wow.
them do not do that. And you know what? You won't know. Now, I know
Right.
ours has it, but ours is patent protected, so I don't kind of like do show everybody what we're doing, but
Right. Right. Right.
I know that's what we do per se. And I have
That
all
is
that data if
incredible.
anyone needed it.
Yeah, they would love the data. And by the way, pharmacists that are listening, the way that Dr. Fred just talked about this probiotic is exactly what you do when you get on your Facebook videos and lives and chat about this product. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you another thing, is that it comes in a pro pack, a 10 count,
Yep.
which is very common because a lot of people get antibiotic-associated diarrhea when they take their Augmentin and all that. So a lot of pharmacies sell the 10 count with, for example, the amoxicillin or something,
Oh,
so they don't get an upset stomach because, of course, it upsets the good flora in your gut.
right.
So patients are very happy. They take the antibiotic, they'll take the 10 count of Propac, they sell it with the antibiotic, so the patients don't get this upset stomach diarrhea. They're happy, the pharmacist happy, and the pharmacist makes, it makes front end, it makes a little extra money
That's
on the
brilliant.
sale of that. So
That is
everybody's
a
happy.
brilliant
Yeah,
idea, Dr. Fred. That is
yeah.
absolutely
And the
brilliant.
thing about it, they don't have to buy the 30 count if they really didn't want to. Some
Right.
people say, "Oh, I don't know." So listen, just get the 10 count. It's cheap enough, and you won't get all the diarrhea problems when you take
Right.
this antibiotic. And
That
that's
is brilliant. That's a
yeah,
brilliant strategy right there. That's worth
yeah,
your 20 minutes of listening
yeah. You see
to
that?
us chat today.
And I can guarantee you, probably 90% of the pharmacists that don't
Yeah.
do that.
Right. No,
They don't
I
do that.
I would agree with you. That is a
And and
fantastic
and you
strategy.
wanna know something too, Heather?
Yeah.
Sometimes they could probably make more money on the probiotic than they can on the amoxicillin.
Oh, 100%. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, and help the
my
patient. I mean, which
gosh.
is what it's all about.
I am so happy to have had you on today
Yeah.
with us.
No, thank
If
you.
someone wants to order, other than you guys will be at our show at the
Yes,
end
we'll
of
be at the
March.
show.
But if
Yes.
someone wants to hop on now and order and chat now, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So we have the, 800, of course, they can look us up. We have the website. They can always contact us through the website. There's
Okay.
info@scimera.com, where they
Okay.
can always send us an email and then leave a message. We'll call them back. They can speak, of course, to anyone in the office there, call in. We can open up the account. But
Okay.
when we do, we like to educate them. We like to make sure we set up our follow-up to educate the staff. Now, another thing that very important that what we do is we give samples, almost
Oh,
the way the pharmaceutical companies do.
yes.
And that's important for the pharmacies too, to offer samples to their customers. And some people, they like that. So we do that. That's very unique to us also.
You're right. I got excited about the probiotics and forgot to chat about that. But
Yes, we
if
have
you've
the
ever
probiotic
seen
sample.
our friends at any of the trade shows, it's not uncommon for people to have samples, but they have samples of everything. And
Yeah,
we'll Dr. Fred will chat with you, or their booth staff will chat with you and figure out
right.
what you need, and then they'll offer you a sample right then and there.
Oh, we'll give it to you there. We send the samples to your pharmacy
Yes,
so you
yes.
can give it to the customers. Well, a lot of times we do that, but most of the staff just take them right away. It's crazy because they love it so much.
Yeah, which is good because then they can
Well, they can
be a first
recommend it.
person. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
so
Well,
one of the samples that disappear very quickly, everyone loves it, is the Cymune for cold and flu.
oh, yes.
Yeah, especially this is the season. And if you look at this, the Cymune, comes in two forms, but the pack is the 14 dose pack. It's almost like like a Medrol dose pack.
Mm,
So the first sign of any itchy throat, a little sore throat, a little fever, possible contact, you get the pack and you take one 2 immediately, and then 1 and 1. So it'd be 4 for the first day, 4 for the second day, then 3 and 3. So it's a
Wow.
4-day regimen that it's the type of thing you have to have because you
Right.
never know when you gonna get in contact with it. And this has something called a 1316 beta glucan that has a very similar molecular structure to what we call a lipopolysaccharide,
Mhm.
which boosts your innate immune system. So it primes it. So as soon as you get exposed, your immune system sees it right away and starts to clear it. There's nothing
Oh,
like it. Nothing
I
like
love
it.
that. You
Yeah.
know, we're gonna have to get you, I'm gonna have to have you video us an overview of
Yeah,
all of the
sure.
products and
Yeah.
put it in our membership so we can
Yeah.
all have cheat sheets on all of
Yeah.
your awesome
Yes.
products.
Oh, we
So
have good cheat sheets too.
yeah, be looking for that because I'm
Okay.
gonna get you a little course inside of our membership so you can teach us all this
Yeah.
fantacular.
Listen, and I love to talk about the pathophysiology of these things so everybody understands. And I think when they understand it, it makes even more sense of why they recommend the products.
I think you're right. Even for a layman like me, a marketing girl, not a pharmacist, it makes so much more sense once I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. And when you understand it, everybody feels comfortable. So the
That's
Aspriga was great, the Cymune, the Zoflexa. We use Zoflexa for the arthritis. We find better results with that than we do with Motrin or Advil, which has its own set of problems: GI bleeding, renal, coronary artery thrombosis, things like that. And it's even safe to take with things like Eliquis, Xarelto, Coumadin. So the arthritis, the Zoflexa is one twice a day, and phenomenal
oh,
components also.
I
And
love
pharmacists
that.
need to know that too, because a lot of times they'll come in and say, "Hey, what do I take for my joints?" But I'm on Eliquis,
And
and
it lowers what they can take. It takes
and
a
yes,
bunch away.
exactly. Tylenol's not working, whatever. No, try the Zoflexa, and it's safe. And that's another thing that pharmacists have available for their customers on the front end.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Fred, I could chat with you all day long. We're going to probably have to do a part 2 of your podcast. Get
Okay,
you in our
sure.
membership. You all are going to be seeing a lot more of Dr. Fred
Yes,
around
I'll be there.
Diversify and our membership. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for joining
Oh,
me
thanks,
today.
Heather. It was great talking to you. I'll
Yeah.
see you soon. And
Yes,
then send anyone over. Be happy to talk to them about what we can offer them and help them on the front end as well with great
absolutely.
products.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Heather. See you later. Bye bye.